When life feels chaotic, most of us try to fix everything at once. We clean deeper. We rush faster. We tell ourselves to try harder. But what if the first step toward peace isn't fixing? What if it's defining? You see, Scripture tells us that God is not a God of disorder and chaos, but a God of peace. And that, my friends, matters more than you think. Welcome to A Cup of Hope, the podcast for women ready to create clarity and confidence in their life and money. I'm your host, Sherry Lynn, a life and money coach and your hope-filled strategist. Each week, we'll talk about the messy middle of life, faith, finances, freedom, and finding your purpose, all with truth, encouragement, and practical tools that you can use today. I'm so glad you're here. Last month, we talked about shame, self-trust, and rebuilding your internal foundation. But clarity doesn't just live inside of you. It shows up in your physical space. It shows up in your schedule, in your systems. So this month, we're moving from internal awareness to external order, from chaos to clarity. In 1 Corinthians 14, Paul is addressing order in corporate worship. He says, God is not a God of disorder, but of peace. In context, he's talking about how the church functions. But what this also reveals is something about God's character. Disorder is not his nature. Peace is. And when you zoom out across Scripture, from the structure of creation to the detailed design of the tabernacle to the wisdom literature of Proverbs, you see a pattern. Intentional order creates space for flourishing. And what's fascinating is that our nervous systems reflect that same design. When things are undefined, cluttered, chaotic, our brains don't settle. But when expectations are clear and environments are intentional, our bodies respond with calm. Clarity begins with awareness. Here's the problem. Most of us are trying to create peace without ever putting it into words. You see, we think in pictures, but we speak in vague expectations. If I asked you to describe a peaceful home, you probably have a picture in your mind. And if I asked someone else who lives in your house, their picture might look completely different. And that's where tension can creep in. Sometimes what we call chaos isn't really a mess. It's undefined expectations. It's unclear standards. It might be perfection hiding behind the word peace. And if your picture of peace is perfection, friend, that's not peace. That's pressure. And your brain craves clarity. Undefined expectations create stress. That's not spiritual weakness. It is neuroscience. Visual clutter, unfinished decisions, too much input, it all adds up. So here's my challenge for you this week. Not clean everything, not reorganize your entire home, just this. Define your picture of peace. So, what does a peaceful kitchen look like to you? Is it clean counters? A meal plan posted? Meal prep done? A clean sink with dishes done before bed? Music playing while you cook? Now, close your eyes. What does it feel like? And what does a peaceful bedroom look like? Is it the bed made? Laundry off the floor? A clear nightstand? Maybe your phone out of reach? Or soft lighting? And what does a peaceful bedroom feel like? We aren't talking Pinterest perfect, Instagram ready, or Martha Stewart style. We're talking about peace that is functional, sustainable. It fits your real life and your current season. And here's the deal. If you don't define it, culture will define it for you. So let's take it one step further. Now that you have your picture of what peace looks and feels like, what would done look like for this month? Not forever, not flawlessly, just done for this season. You see, clarity reduces anxiety. This year, I'm working on my basement. But this quarter, I am not finishing it. Actually, I'm just sorting it. Right now, what makes it feel chaotic isn't necessarily that it's falling apart. It's that things don't live in logical places. Tools are in multiple spots. Entertaining dishes and small appliances are scattered. Games, appliances, supplies. They've just kind of landed wherever they fit at the time. It worked for survival season, but it doesn't feel intentional. So this quarter, my win is simple. Sort everything. Create zones. Put like things with like. Label what belongs where. And if by March 31st, everything is sorted and I can see clearly what we have, then I can decide where it needs to live. That will be a huge win. My basement will not be renovated. No, it won't be perfect, but I will be clear, and that clarity will create peace. Maybe your basement isn't a basement. Maybe it's a closet you avoid, or a drawer that you shut quickly, a calendar you don't want to open, or a relational conversation you've postponed. Whenever something feels unfinished, your brain keeps that tab open, and open tabs drain your energy. And here's what I've realized. The chaos in my basement isn't about just boxes and piles. It's about energy leaks. Every time I walk past certain piles, there's this quiet whisper. I should deal with that. I need to finish that. Why haven't you handled that yet? If I don't touch it, it drains me because it represents something or many things unfinished. A season that shifted, a role that's changed, a chapter that's closed, yet the stuff stayed. Homeschooling materials, books from a previous business, projects from a different version of my life. It's not just clutter, it's unclosed loops or open tabs. And these unclosed loops create chaos. And if you're honest, you probably already know what one of your open loops is. The question isn't whether it's there, the question is why it's still there. If I'm perfectly honest, there is a little bit of resistance. Some of those books cost a lot of money. There's this little voice that says, what if you need this again? But if I sit with that, it's not really about needing the object. It's about feeling prepared. It's about feeling safe. It's about scarcity, the fear of waste or not being able to replace it later. Our nervous system is wired to seek safety. So holding on to these things can feel wise, but sometimes fear wears practical clothes. And when fear drives my decisions, I hold on to more than I need. Peace doesn't come from holding everything. Peace comes from releasing wisely and trusting that I'll have what I need in this season. And that, my friends, is where faith and psychology meet. Not in denying the fear, but in choosing not to be ruled by it. So what about you? What are you holding on to that no longer fits this season? Is it stuff? An expectation? An identity? A standard you've outgrown? Where are you keeping something just in case, but it's actually keeping you from peace? Because until you name it, it stays vague. And vague expectations cause stress and deplete our energy. When life feels crazy and out of control, don't try to fix everything. Start where you have agency, where you can actually do something. One room, one shelf, one defined standard. For some of you, that might be your kitchen. For others, maybe it's your bedroom. For me, often it is my bedroom because I can reset it in a couple of hours and make it feel like a sanctuary. One defined space, one clear expectation, one manageable task. That's where peace begins. Here's your one last sip for today. Peace doesn't begin with organizing, it begins with awareness. Before you clean anything this week, I want you to sit down with a pen and paper. Close your eyes. Describe what peace looks like in your home. Then describe what it feels like in your body. Paint the picture with words. If I read it out loud, could I see it? Could I feel it? Because clarity creates calm, and calm changes everything. As we grow deeper together, I just want to recognize that for some, even defining peace may feel overwhelming, and that's okay. Maybe you can start with my free 5-minute calm reset. Before you try to fix anything, regulate. And if your chaos runs deeper than clutter, if you need a structured space to define your done and take your next right step, that's exactly why I offer survival sessions. You don't have to untangle everything at once or alone. Click the link in the show notes to learn more. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining me today on A Cup of Hope. If this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend and subscribe so you never miss an episode? You'll find today's resources and next steps in the show notes. Until next time, I'm Sherry Lynn, and I want you to remember this. Hope is always available, and your next step matters. Because God can take the broken pieces of your story and create something more beautiful than you could ever imagine.